Good afternoon. I hope you enjoyed the elderberry making video. That took a little bit. It's not my usual get out here, talk for 10 minutes and be over with. Of course, it's a process, right? Everything that went in there had a purpose in that solution, and you know, my husband, he did a taste test, and the amount of elderberries that I used called for, in the recipe that I'd found, called for like 3 ounces of whole cloves in there. And knowing my husband doesn't care for cloves that much, I reduced it to below an ounce. And it was like, you know, 10 cups of elderberries. And it still has a very spiced taste of elderberry and ginger. I mean, of clove and ginger. And both he and my son go, "Whoa, clove." I'm like, I love clove, okay? It brings back a childhood memory. My uncle, I had an Uncle Yule. You remember Yule Gibbons? Well, I had an Uncle Yule. And he actually always carried a pack of clove gum. Remember that old clove gum? And I always wanted a piece of clove gum. So it went with like juicy fruit and double mint gum and all that back then. So, yeah, juicy fruit stripe gum. I think fruit stripe gum is what it was. So yeah, I loved clove gum. So I love it. I think it tastes wonderful. So we have quite a lot of elderberry juice syrup. And yeah, so hopefully it'll give our immune systems the big punch they need, right? So anyway, I hope you enjoyed that video. Before I get to today's topic, I also want to address something I had a thought about. You know, I mentioned in my community section that this so-called comedian Jimmy Kimmel said something, and I still don't know who he is. How did he get a show? Where did he come from? I still don't know, and I don't care because he's not funny. But he's actually pathetic. He's just not funny at all. He's never been funny. I've asked myself, where the hell did this man come from? I don't even know who he is. I still don't know how he got a show. But he was talking about how, oh yeah, medical treatment. Oh, we have vaccinated, unvaccinated. Of course, the vaccinated get preferential treatment. Everybody else can just die or something. I forget the actual wording it was, but the audience was like laughing and clapping. I'm thinking, boy, you guys are like bloodthirsty. What is your problem? Because somebody else chose not to get a medical treatment that you chose to get because they feel it's experimental and not worth the risk. You think they should die? You're the ones who took the risk, not us. What is wrong with you? And I thought, you know what? In a couple of years, when the long-term effects, and people's, well, there's been no long-term side effects seen. We haven't had a long-term yet. It's been 1.5 years since they started doing this. There is no long-term yet. You don't know, you will not know for 2 to 10 years about any long-term side effects. There's already some instant side effects. A young person was on TikTok just a couple days ago crying because I don't know, his or her little sister died with the first dose. That's not me saying it's going to kill you. That's just me saying that is one case that happened. And we don't think it's worth the risk. We think it's worth the risk. The virus is worth more risking than this thing. So that means we should die? You want us to die. You want us to starve because we can't go to the grocery store. And of course, I'm not going to starve because I can't go to the grocery store because, hey, I grow food. But in a couple of years, when all these side effects start popping up and all illnesses from whatever you've done to yourself with 1, 2, 3, 4 shots, and you want the compassion from us, let's just say you might not get any after the way we were treated and persecuted by you. So that's all I have to say about that this morning. But I did a video a few years ago called Comparison is the Thief of Joy. And I thought we should revisit that a little bit today because it is so true. And that plus a couple of chapters from something that Joel Salatin has been writing kind of combined together to make me think, okay. Now, I have great respect for Joel Salatin. Don't get me wrong. He's a great farmer. He's big on the pastured poultry guy, natural management, that kind of stuff. But Joel Salatin has a different management style and perspective than I do. Not that I'm against pastured poultry. Heck, I am. I love pastured poultry. But, greenery is the best thing for a chicken to eat. But his way of thinking and his way of management has left him lacking a perspective that I have, and a lot of other people who keep chickens the way I do, in a more of a homestead mini farm kind of style. We have seen things that, because of the way he manages his farm, I'm sure he's not had opportunity to see, because his eyes are not open to that. And it's possible that if he saw the things that I've seen and know the things that I do know now about chickens, that he would not be able as easily to do things the way he does. To him, rare breeds don't mean anything. It does. He said something about it doesn't matter the breeds. All it matters is production, production, production. And that's not what matters to me. Yes, I want my chickens to lay eggs because I have them for eggs and fertilizer, sure. But production was not the only reason I got my chickens. And as time goes on, and they live long lives, which Joel and other farmers would not allow to happen, I see more value in the service that they gave the family for years. And what I'm trying to say is, he made a statement that he said, all chickens are always bullies. That's not true. That's 100% untrue. Chickens are bullies a lot of the time. That is true. But always, no. I have actually witnessed on numerous occasions compassion, deference, care, dignity. I have seen a hen deny herself a treat for her dying sister. Not really sisters, they were two Brahmas, but they weren't, they were different color varieties, came from the same hatchery. They were not actual sisters, but I call them sisters because they're coop mates. And they were raised together. I saw a hen deny herself food so her dying sister would eat. And she circled around that hen once and looked to see if she was eating, circled around twice, and she was still eating, circled around 3 times, and when that dying hen walked away from the food was the first time this hen turned over there and took a bite for herself. I've seen hens preside over the deaths of the head hen in the flock multiple times. They watch out for them, they stay with them. They don't, I'll take them a bowl of food, I would take a dying hen a bowl of some special food, and they would stand back and let her eat without diving in there. So you can say you don't believe that. I've seen it so many times. It's not just once, it's not just a one-off. I've seen it several times. And you know why? It's because I don't keep them over there. I've let them get close, and I've watched them on a very close basis. And no, they're not always bullies. They are a lot of times, sure they are. But always? No. I've also seen their intelligence. They're not dumb as a box of rocks. I have one rooster that is. But they're not. They have intelligence. They know their names. They do. And, you know, I had a subscriber, he says, I laughed when you, I'm not making fun of him. He said, because, you know, heard people say this before. He said, I kind of chuckled when you called one by name and said, hey, leave me alone. There's a reason I name my chickens. It's because it's easier to say, Luna did this, than to say, oh, you know, that little splash coaching hen that doesn't have a lot of splash feathers. It's for expediency's sake. It's a lot easier just to say one name than try to describe the bird. And my husband would go, I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know which one you mean. That's one reason we've always named them. And they can learn their names just like a dog. Every chicken I have knows its name. Even the young ones that I have now, they all know their names. They can learn commands. They can recognize 100 faces. They can remember things. So I have seen the fullness of the species, is what I'm trying to say. And I feel privileged to know these birds. And because of that, I get daily joy out of these birds. If I manage them like what it's called a true farmer, and keep them over there, and don't let them get close. And I know they say, well, that makes them pets. Well, they can be both. I know people who have pets, and they give them good lives, and if something happens and they feel like they need to process the bird, they do. They may shed a few tears, but they do what they need to do. Now, I don't process my birds. The only birds I would process are roosters that turn aggressive to us. The thing is, that hasn't really happened since, I don't know, 14 years ago? But trust me, if it happened now, I would. I have no problem with people who do it. I have no problem with people who manage their birds that way. I have no problem with people who want to keep them over there and to give them food and give them water as long as they keep a good environment for them. I don't like abusing animals. I don't like people who abuse animals or neglect them or treat them like they don't deserve proper care. They don't have to love them. They don't have to name them. They don't have to pick them up for a hug or anything like that. They don't have to do that. But they do have to take care of them. But because I have seen things I've seen, I get joy out of my birds. And if I manage them the way Joel Salatin does, or the way Justin Rhodes does, the way anybody else does that is a farmer, I wouldn't get the joy I do, and I probably would not be keeping chickens at all. Now, if I decided I wanted to get meat birds, I'd get a meat bird. I get meat birds. I don't think that would work so well, because my husband is quite frankly, I don't know what's going on out there. My husband's quite frankly a big softie, just like I am, and he would have a very hard time executing these birds. I do think I could process quail. I've thought a couple of times about possibly managing quail, because they have to stay inside. They can stay in a cage all the time. That if something happened to my husband, that would be something much easier for me to handle by myself than these birds that need to get outside that I like. People say they don't need to get outside. I think they do. I think sunshine and fresh air and dust baths and all that outside is the best way to keep a healthy flock. But so don't compare. If you're enjoying your chickens the way you are, don't let somebody else tell you, well, you know, you really shouldn't be naming those birds. You really shouldn't let them. You shouldn't pick them up. You shouldn't get close to them. Now, there are times when you should not pick them up. A rooster who is learning to do his duty and take care of his hens, you shouldn't go out there and grab him out of the field and cuddle him. He has a job he's doing. Don't make a baby out of him out there. Leave him alone and let him do his job. Don't distract him, or something might happen to your hens. But you get what I'm saying, I hope. What the heck is that thing? I'm seeing some bizarre bugs around here. I'm got to tell you. I think I'm in some kind of sci-fi movie. I'm gonna have to go see what the heck that thing is. Oh my word! I don't know what that is. It's huge. Anyway, don't let somebody tell you that you have to do this you have to manage your birds this way. I'm not telling you you have to make pets out of them. I'm not telling you have to name them. But if you're managing your birds similar to the way I do, and then you start reading a lot of Joel Salatin type farmers who say production is the only thing that's important, and it's not been that important to you, then don't change. If what you are doing is working for you and you enjoy it, there's a lot to be said for enjoying your life. Don't compare yourself to everybody else. Don't compare yourself to the person who's got 20 acres when you've got one. You go, I just have 1 acre. I don't know. I just don't feel happy on my 1 acre. Are you managing your 1 acre? Is there everything on that 1 acre that you can possibly do with it? If not, why are you worrying about somebody who's got 20 acres? Do you see what I'm saying? So please, please, just try to think about what makes you happy, what makes you feel good, and what works for your family, not what works for someone else. That's just my talk for the day. So y'all take care. I'm going to see what the heck that creature is up there. If I can get a picture of it, I will. Bye, everybody.